Ladies and gentlemen, life is difficult, but if you develop certain habits, you can make your life slightly easier. And in this video, I want to share 10 frugal living habits that I have developed that have made my life slightly easier. Now, the first habit is exposing myself to different ways of living. A few videos ago, I made this video, which talked about the 6 things that I do when I get paid. And I talked about how I make $3,200 a month and the 6 things I do with that money when I get paid. And I got a comment from someone that said, "Who the hell can live off $3,200 a month in 2023? Now, I don't know this person or their situation, but it seems like they might be a little bit out of touch because I live very comfortably off that amount of money, and I know people who support families off less than that. But I think that some people in this world can't comprehend how little you can live off of because they live in these bubbles where everyone around them is making good money and living in similar ways. Which can be this disadvantage because you end up not knowing how to be resourceful with your money. And one habit that has made me better and more resourceful with money is getting outside my bubble and exposing myself to people of different walks of life. Because what happens is that you get this perspective of what you actually need, what's possible, and what you have. And when you have that perspective, money becomes slightly easier. Now, my second habit is increasing my quality of life intentionally. What I have noticed in life is that once you get something nicer, it is very hard to go back to what you had before. For example, when you move from an apartment to a house, you get so accustomed to the house that you won't want to go back to having limited space, noisy neighbors, and not having an outdoor area. It's very hard to go back to that apartment life because your standards have changed. And one habit that has made my life easier is knowing that once I move up my quality of life, it's going to be hard to go back. So I do it in a slow, intentional way. Because so many people end up trapping themselves in this extremely expensive quality of life that they can't get out of. But if you get in the habit of being intentional when you upgrade your quality of life and doing it in a sustainable way, your life will be much easier. Now, my third habit is knowing when to stop increasing my quality of life. Another habit that has made my life easier is knowing when to stop increasing my quality of life, because there comes a point when spending more money on nicer things doesn't change your life as drastically. For example, going from a broken down car that constantly has problems to a more reliable car could improve your life by 400%. But if you then got a luxury car, that might only improve your life by 10%. It could actually decrease your quality of life because moving up to that nicer thing means increased expenses, more debt, and more responsibilities. It's important to know when to make that stop when getting nicer things no longer improves your life as drastically. Because when you make that stop, you can avoid going into an extremely expensive quality of life. Now, my fourth habit is having periods of aggressively saving. One thing that I've done at different phases in my life is having these periods where I'm very aggressive with how much money I save. For example, a few years ago, I saved $80,000 in a period of 2 years. And although I don't believe in doing this all the time, having these periods where you speed up the process and save aggressively has always made my life better and much easier. I mean, once I save that $80,000, I've been able to experiment with my passions, travel more, and not worry about money. And if you get in the habit of having these periods where you save more aggressively, you speed up the process and you can reach your goals quicker, which allows you to do more of what you want in life because you have more financial security, and it makes things much easier. Now, the fifth habit is having a general understanding of things before seeking help. We live in a dog-eat-dog world, ladies and gentlemen, where everyone out there is trying to take you for a ride. And you know who I'm talking about, the mechanics and the home contractors. These people understand that most of their customers are completely clueless and do not know what they're talking about. And so they just make stuff up to get you to spend more. For example, if you took your car into the mechanic, they might say that this, and this need to be fixed. And because you don't know anything about cars, you just trust their opinion and get all the work done. But one habit that I have developed that has allowed me to sometimes not get screwed over is having a general understanding and educating myself before I ask for help. For example, if I took my car to the mechanic, I could point out this, and this seem fine. And then they'll think that I know what I'm talking about and give me a more honest answer. And I find when I troubleshoot things myself and do some research beforehand, I can avoid getting screwed over in many situations because it's a dog-eat-dog world, ladies and gentlemen, and life is a little bit easier. Now, my sixth habit is being adaptable. Life can be very unpredictable, and one habit that's made my life easier is being able to adapt to whatever life throws at me. For example, let's imagine two people, one that is adaptable, the other that is not. If they both entered uncertain economic times, the adaptable person would adjust their lifestyle and make it out of the uncertainty fine, whereas the unadaptable person wouldn't change their lifestyle and their life would be more difficult afterwards. Life is very unpredictable, and if you're not adaptable, then these uncertain times will really harm you and hold you back in life. But if you can adapt and adjust your lifestyle depending on what's going on, you could go through these uncertain times and come out unharmed. Now, my seventh habit is avoiding debt. In our society, debt is something that is so normal, we think it's just a part of life that we need it in order to survive. But that habit makes people enslaved to their debt. And I believe that debt is a completely avoidable thing. I've never had a single dollar in debt in my life, and it's made my life much easier because I don't have to pay any interest. I don't owe anything to anyone, and I'm able to make my decisions more freely. If you can get out of that mindset that you need debt in order to live your life and survive and get in the habit of avoiding debt at all costs, your life will be so much easier and you can live a life without debt. It's so easy to do. You just have to get out of that mindset. Now, the eighth habit is owning my car. In our society, it is very normal to have a car payment. I mean, so many people have never lived their adult lives without a car payment because what they do is they get a car and then pay it off in 5 years. And once they pay it off, they get a nice new car with a new payment for 5 years. And then they continue that cycle for the rest of their lives, so always having a car payment. And this is a very expensive habit to get into because in 2023, the average new car payment was $729 a month. Believe it or not, I have never had a car payment in my life. I've always just been in the habit of getting a car I can afford and paying it in cash. And it's made my life so easy because it's one less bill, one less giant bill that people have to pay that I avoid. And I understand that you can't always pay for a car in cash, but if you can get out of this habit of going from car payment to car payment and just own your car until it starts to cause you problems, your life will be so much easier. Now, the ninth habit is creating my own definition of success. Most people do not take the time to create their own definition of success and then just default in this superficial definition that consists of a fancy job title, a big house, and a bunch of material possessions. And I think when people chase this superficial definition of success, it ends up making their lives extremely hard because it leads to the lack of time, financial burdens, and your stuff owning you. I find it important to be in the habit of creating your own definition of success instead of just defaulting to this superficial definition. To me, success means a lot of free time, financial security, and few wants. In creating my own definition of success has made my life much easier because I don't have to deal with all these consequences that come from chasing this superficial definition of success. And when I get in the habit of creating my own definition of success, I end up having more time and more freedom to chase the things that I want to do in life. Now, my final habit is living with gratitude. Now, in the beginning of this video, I mentioned a person who commented and said, "Who the hell can live off $3,200 a month in 2023?" And again, I do not know this person's situation, but it sounds like it's coming from this extreme level of privilege and entitlement. And I think there's so many people in this world that feel entitled to a comfortable job, a large paycheck, an abundance of material possessions. And I think that when you live your life with this entitlement, you end up not being grateful for anything. You don't appreciate how much you have. But I think it's important to be in the habit of living your life with gratitude, of just being grateful for all the things you have, and understand that other people in this world do not have it as easy as you do. And when you live your life with gratitude, you end up not wanting as many things. You end up being more content with your life. And when you're more content, your life naturally becomes easier. And with that, muchas gracias. Que tenga un buen día. Nos vemos, chicos.